Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. I'm going to do this stream a little different from a normal one, the way that I did when we first talked about developer update, where I'm not going to go through and say all my hellos to everybody. I'm just going to get right into what is the meat, the news of the day, and I'll probably clip this out and put it into a standalone video. So I don't know, we're probably going to blather on here for about 20 minutes before there's any actual gameplay, because we're going to talk about some stuff. All right, so what is the stuff we have to talk about? So I know not everybody goes on the forums. The forums is very underutilized, official Dead by Daylight forums, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that the word doesn't get out to the average player, so I just want to cover over some of this stuff that's going on with you all here. So first we're going to talk about the big thing in the red box that's been at the top of all of the pages of the forums, which is talking about a couple of different exploits that are going on. We've been made aware of 2 new exploits that could potentially be abused to ruin the enjoyment of others. While our team investigates and fixes these issues, we will be banning players who abuse the following in accordance with our game rules. 2+ killers in match exploits and Legion men time exploits. If you witness a player abusing the Legion men time exploit, please make sure to report them through the in-game report system. There is no need to report the 2+ killers in a match exploit. We have access to data that will allow us to find players abusing that exploit. So let's first talk about 2+ killers in a match exploit. You may know that for about a year and a half, I've been doing 2+ killers in Kill Your Friends matches. And I saw some people who were like calling from my head saying that I've been promoting this for the longest time and that I should be banned. But the things that I did was all in Kill Your Friends matches where we all agreed to do it. It was no strangers, a group of people who went into the Kill Your Friends mode of the game, which is basically practice mode. There's no points on the line, no points can be earned. There's no ranks to be earned, no emblems to be earned, no items to be lost in inventory, no offerings are lost. It's all practice. Everybody gets tier 3 perks whenever they play one of these matches. They can pick any item they like. It doesn't come out of their inventory. It's all practice mode. And so it isn't a public match in that there are no points to be earned, as I said. You aren't out there making lobbies with strangers. It's all insulated. So it's something that we agreed to do together. What happened recently, about a week ago, is somebody, it may have been on longer than this, but somebody figured out how they could reinsert multiple killers into public matches. And what would happen is a Survive with Friends person would bring a killer with them into a match, or maybe multiple killers, up to 3 additional killers with them into a match. And once nobody would know, except for the people smuggling the killers, until the game started, that there were extra killers. And this is very different in that people are playing for points, people are playing for emblems, ranks, they have brought items and offerings into the game, and there are definitely people who did not sign up to participate in this 2+ killers match in public. The killer who is hosting has no idea this is happening until the game starts. So that's definitely one stranger who isn't in on the gag. They haven't agreed to participate in 2+ killers. There's also probably other survivors, unless the Survive with Friends is bringing 3 killers, or they've brought 1 killer with a couple survivors, whatever it is. There's probably survivors who also did not agree to do this. So there are strangers involved, as it says here, ruining the enjoyment of others. So there's people who didn't agree to this who are being subjected to multiple killers unbeknownst to them. Now people have asked me, does that mean I can't do this and Kill Your Friends anymore? I'll be banned? I don't genuinely know the answer to that question. I wish I could tell you if that meant Kill Your Friends 2-killer glitch is still safe or not. It says that they have access to the data, so they know who's bringing extra killers into the game. Are they looking at kill your friends matches for data? There isn't really any data to be collected there because it's all practice mode. So I would say no, but I don't know for sure. And I'm definitely not going to do it because I don't want to take the chance. So I know people have actually been banned for this already. There was somebody who shared a tweet with me that they smuggled an extra killer into the game. And lo and behold, they did it in the game that a dev was playing in. So the person who was the survivor and the killer who was smuggled into the game both received bans. So I know it's fun and a lot of laughs, but when you cross that line into real games where you're doing this to others without their permission, then that's something entirely different. I was shown how to do it. Not going to show anybody how to do it except a dev. I never did it myself, and I never will. I'm not going into public matches with more than one killer. It's just not going to happen. And I will tell you, the 100% surefire way to make sure this doesn't happen to you is you never ready up in your lobby, whether you're the killer or as one of the survivors, until you see 4 survivors in that lobby. And then it will never happen to you. And one red flag is, let's say you're in a lobby and there's one other survivor in the lobby with you, and they're in the game chat there, pre-game chat, telling you to ready up. That's a big red flag that there's some extra killers hiding in the bushes, so don't do it. I guess that's all I have to say about that. This other thing about the Legion men time exploit, I don't really know what to do. I don't have an official word because as far as I can tell, they haven't said what the exploit is. I know what the exploit is, but I don't want to tell people what the exploit is because I don't want to teach people how to do the exploit. But at the same time, I appreciate that there are people out there who are fearful that they might accidentally do the exploit, not knowing what it is. So I don't really know what to say at this point. I haven't really been briefed on how to handle this question. But I do appreciate that there are people out there who are afraid that they might accidentally exploit the Mend with Legion and not know it because they're unaware of what it is. I would just say that, I would just trust in it that they're probably looking for the people who are doing it deliberately over and over again. So I don't think anybody's going to get in trouble for innocently doing it one time and not knowing how they did it. If you saw my April Fool's video, you could see that I had the mend time exploit in that match where I had to take 12 minutes to get my mend to go on. But I didn't show anybody how I did it, and I won't. So that's about all I have to say about that. Now, on this forums post today, they rolled out what the Legion changes are going to be. There's going to be a PTB coming up on April the 23rd. We're going to be able to test these Legion changes, plus the endgame collapse and a few other things. And then probably 2 weeks after that, the mid-chapter patch will roll out to all of us. So let's just go ahead and look at this nice post that Patricia, community manager, put out on this Legion update here. So let's see. People of the Fog, since the release of Chapter 11, The Darkness Among Us, we have received a lot of feedback, both positive and negative, regarding the Legion. With this update, we aim to bridge the gap in the extreme playstyle of this killer and remove some of the ongoing frustrations when playing as the Legion as well as against the Legion. The following changes allow for direct survivor counterplay, reduce the potential for exploiting certain game mechanics, and bring the Legion's default attributes in line with the other killers while retaining the core vision of this killer. The Legion's base movement speed is increased to 4.6 meters per second. Now what that means is a survivor moves at 4 meters per second. Most of the killers move at what they call 115% speed, which is 4.6 meters per second. There are a few killers who only move at 110% speed, like the Hag and the Huntress, which is 4.4 meters per second. The Legion was previously a 110 killer at 4.4, so they have increased the base movement speed of the Legion. Legion's terror radius is also increased to 32 meters, and most of the Legion's add-ons are rebalanced or reworked to account for the changes to Feral Frenzy and the Deep Wound status effect. So they've done a pass through all of the add-ons for the killer. Some of them are probably going to be quite different. We'll have to see what they look like. And the Iridescent Button add-on no longer requires the Legion to apply deep wounds for the effect to be active. So that would mean that you're just going to be able to break pallets at will without having stabbed somebody, right? All right, and then we have the Feral Frenzy update. The recharge time of Feral Frenzy is increased and now requires a full power gauge to use it. Once it has been activated, the Legion must wait until the power gauge is full to be able to trigger the power again. So they're slowing down how often the Feral Frenzy will recharge, and it has to be full for you to use it. In the past, people could just boost it up a little bit and then trigger a shorter Feral Frenzy burst, so you won't be able to do that anymore. The duration of the Feral Frenzy itself is increased, and so the Legion spends longer time in Frenzy. We'll have to see what that is. We don't have any specifics on the amount of time that the Frenzy is going to last. I have no idea if it's double or how long it's going to be. Movement speed of Feral Frenzy is significantly reduced. The Legion moves faster than base speed while in Frenzy, but not as fast as they did before. And the Legion can no longer see blood pools, in addition to not seeing scratch marks while in Feral Frenzy. Feral Frenzy is immediately and automatically canceled whenever the Legion misses an attack while in Frenzy. This is the biggest thing here for me. We're going to have to see how this plays out, because I know why they did it, because there was like kind of an exploit that Legion had where you could just lunge, and you would gain distance on people. It would make you move more quickly because your movement speed while attacking is with the lunge would increase, so you would get more distance if you were just stabbing as you ran. So now to negate that, they're making it that if you just stab at the air, you're going to lose the Frenzy. But if you're really bad at hitting people in Frenzy, I have to see how this is going to play out, because if you go into Frenzy and you just miss a stab, then that seems like a pretty devastating penalty. We're going to have to just see how that plays out. Maybe the fact that the movement speed is slowed, it'll make it easier to make hits. I don't know. If you get 360'd and you swing and miss, though, and then you're out of Frenzy and you have to endure the stun, we're just going to have to see how that plays out. Do I have anything else to say along these lines here? Not sure. Maybe we'll come back to it. Okay, so Deep Wound update. The Deep Wound timer pauses for the survivors within the killer's terror radius, regardless of whether they are in a chase or not. So this is going to remove all the things where killers were moonwalking or looking away to break chase and make your timer go down. Looking at the ground, all of those things, it's going to be based solely upon the killer's heartbeat. So if you're in the heartbeat, the timer's not going to go down. Deep Wound timer pauses while mending. So before, while you were mending, the timer would continue to run down, and as long as you were mending before it hit 0, you were fine. But if you let go, then that was it. So this really changes the whole Deep Wound thing, and this might even be a buff to Borrow Time, right? Because Borrow Time is a Deep Wound effect. So this might make Borrow Time even stronger in the end. We'll have to see how this plays out. Killer does not see the Deep Wound timer progress, only the Deep Wound bar to know that the Deep Wound has been applied. So they can't see where your bar is at anymore. Deep Wound timer progress is no longer reduced by regular Feral Frenzy attacks. So in the past, you could get the Legion who would stab you, and they would take chunks out of your orange bar. But now, with this Feral Frenzy, they can stab you over and over in Frenzy, and it isn't going to do anything. It has 0 effect. No effect whatsoever to your orange bar. So this is going to really change the way Legion plays. I know people are they think it's like well, Legion's rip. We'll have to see how it plays out. I don't want to judge it until we actually see it in the PTB to figure it out. And even if we see it in the PTB, we're going to be able to experience it and then give some feedback. And this might not be the final version that would come out 2 weeks later. They may make some tweaks to that. And then so they close with, we hope these updates will enrich your gaming experience, and we look forward to your feedback regarding the Legion. So, you know, they're receptive to what we have to say. So what I will say about this is, currently, most of the Legions that I would play against, they would just tunnel you, down you, hook you. There was no counterplay because you can't run away from them. They can jump over the pallets. They're faster than you with the frenzy, so they're just going to wait, follow you, wait till their frenzy charges up, and then they just keep stabbing you until your orange bar is gone, and then boom, you're down. They can't do that anymore, so that's the whole idea. So I think this change, it encourages the spirit of the design of Legion, which initially was to encourage the killer to go around and tag multiple survivors with deep wound to slow down the game and get lots of people mending all at once rather than just tunnel one person. So let's put it in this perspective. Let's say if the plague who just came out could just vomit on you and vomit on you and vomit on you and vomit on you and vomit on you until you went down. That is essentially what the Legion is like right now before these changes come in. And there's nothing you can do about it because they just puke, puke, puke until boom, you would fall down. Right? But the plague isn't built like that. The plague is built to break you halfway, and then they have to follow up with an M1 attack. So that, to me, that's what they're trying to do here with these Legion changes. They're allowing you to get that first hit with the frenzy, and then any other frenzy hits aren't going to do anything, so that you have to chase them and M1 them after that. Does that make sense? So, and they've made the killer faster to allow you to do that. So to me, they've put this in line with where the plague is at now, where you get your first free attack, let's say, because you're so fast that you can stab. Hopefully you're still fast enough to get somebody, and hopefully you don't miss. And then you have to follow it up with the M1 attack. That's what I feel like they're trying to do here. And then the other option would be, once you've hit that person with the deep wound, then you could say, okay, now I'm going to go get somebody else. You have this larger terror radius, which allows you to see the other survivors in your terror radius. So you can go and find somebody else. Plus your frenzy is longer. So rather than I've tagged this person and cancel out your frenzy and now try to M1 them, you could do that. Or you can continue on with your longer frenzy, try and find other people and hit them. So that's the way I see the redesign at this point. I know some people have said they feel like the killer's power is simply useless. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like, I understand that Legion is still different from the Plague, but to me it seems like a kind of a similar design. And I feel like that's what they always wanted the Legion to be, was somebody who would just be able to multi-combo hits on multiple survivors with this frenzy. And by not allowing you to use your frenzy over and over on the same person, well, you can, but you don't get any benefit out of it. That encourages how the killer was initially designed. So let's see where it goes. My concerns are, like, this miss is pretty devastating, and I'm wondering, like, if how fast the Legion is, if they're going to be able to come up beside you and then miss an attack on purpose so they come out of it and then be really close to you to M1. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, this is what we have so far. Like I said, this is going to come out April 23rd. We'll be able to test it and see for ourselves. I don't think anybody should prejudge it. Let's see what it's all about. There is some stuff here that we just don't know. We don't know how long the frenzy is increased to. So there's some unanswered questions here still. We don't know what any of the add-ons look like and what they're going to do, because some of them have to be reworked entirely, right? Because some of them allowed you to get extra hits on people to reduce the orange bar And now you can't do anything to reduce the orange bar with multiple stabs. So there's some add-ons there that have to be reworked entirely. Those remain to be seen what they are. We're going to find out on April 23rd, and along with this in the PTB for the testing in the mid-chapter patch, there's also going to be the endgame collapse, which we're supposed to get a video feature this week explaining what that's going to involve. So we'll stay tuned. We'll see what all that is together. All right. So having said all that, now I'm going to try and resume a normal stream here. And I will boot up my game and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching this bit so far. I'll probably encapsulate it into a standalone video. And y'all can let me know in the comments what you think about all of the long-winded words that came out of my mouth. All right. So I can close this. I can move this over here.